Good morning, this is Shelby Law with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Saturday, July 2nd, 2022. Fire potential impacts for the next few days are shown here. The main impact we're looking at is some increasing winds over eastern Nevada and western Utah today, and those will continue into tomorrow and expand a little bit further east. We've got gusts up to 45 miles an hour and low relative humidity in these areas. We also have some lingering, very isolated thunderstorms in eastern Utah today and tomorrow, and then some storms further north as well. Lightning and precipitation from yesterday is shown here. We had some thunderstorm activity in eastern Utah, right along the Utah-Idaho border, and then a little bit there in western Wyoming. Further north and west, it was clear. Recent fire activity is shown here. Initial attack continues to be steady over Utah. Many of these fires remain on the smaller side, and we did pick up a few fires further north yesterday, and even a larger, about 400-acre fire here in central Nevada. ERCs are shown here for a few areas. Here on the Payette, we've seen those ERC values increasing quite rapidly over the last 7 to 10 days or so, with the warm and dry air mass over there, so we're actually above normal for the time of year. And same story here over northeast Nevada. Those values have also been rising quickly and are between the average for the time of year and the historical maximums. The satellite image for this morning is shown here. We don't have the 500 millibar heights on here, but we do see some lingering moisture over central and eastern Utah and along the Idaho border today. There's a big high pressure ridge over here to our south and east, and then there's a pretty significant low pressure trough that's developing off the coast. Here off the Pacific coast, that's going to be impacting us today and into the weekend. So taking a closer look for this afternoon, here is that low off the Pacific coast and the high to our south and east. That puts the Great Basin right in between those two features, which will result in increased wind speeds over eastern Nevada and western Utah today with a warm, dry air mass. Wind speeds here in eastern Nevada and western Utah will be in the 30s to low 40s, and then right along the Sierra front there could be some even gustier winds up to 45 miles an hour or so. Minimum relative humidities are in the single digits for most of Nevada and Utah. On Sunday, that low remains in place. It scoots a little bit closer to the coast here, which shifts everything a little bit further eastward, including the gusty winds. So we have continued strong winds over eastern Nevada, western Utah, and a little bit further into Utah here. Continued hot and dry. So the winds, taking a closer look here, the winds are stronger in Utah on Sunday than on Saturday, with gusts up to 45 miles an hour for a large portion of the state. Still a little bit breezy behind the front in western Nevada. But we do kind of see, when we look at the temperatures, the cooler air starting to come into western Nevada, highs near 80 or low 80s in much of Nevada, where highs are still in the upper 90s for Utah and points further north. So we can kind of see that barrier here between prefrontal and postfrontal air masses. On Monday, more of the same is expected. That low still hanging off the coast recedes a bit, so our wind speeds will decrease slightly, but we'll still stay warm, especially across the eastern half of the basin. No high-risk triggers have been issued for Monday. Some winds will still remain elevated over southwest Utah, but not as strong as on Sunday, and we expect a little bit of precip pretty far north over the north central Idaho mountains here on Monday, Sunday into Monday, with the influence of that low further north. 3-day precip totals are shown here. Again, just some isolated thunderstorms continuing mainly over the Uintas through the weekend, and then a little bit of moisture coming in with that low Saturday into Sunday. On Tuesday, the low still remains the main feature, keeping that dry southwest flow in place over the Great Basin. Temperatures will stay warm, hot everywhere. And same story for Wednesday. We do see the ridge starting to build in and strengthen over the Four Corners area. This will result in even warmer temperatures for Utah, lighter winds across the area. And we may begin to see a little bit of moisture starting to come back into the eastern half of Utah late next week. So that pattern remains the same on Thursday with a strong ridge to our south and east. the low off the Pacific coast. Again, lighter winds as that low, the influence of the low is a little bit further west, but still very hot on Thursday. And more of the same on Friday. That 594 ridge is a really strong high pressure ridge in place over the Great Basin. Triple digit heat is expected by Friday. Very hot again, and maybe a little bit of moisture coming back up into eastern Utah for some isolated thunderstorms. We'll just be keeping an eye on that potential. And the 7-day precip totals look very similar to the 3-day. Most of the precip's coming in the short term, mainly today and tomorrow. And then we'll keep an eye on any of this moisture moving back into Utah late next week. The extended forecast for July 9th through the 15th continues to put the bullseye of heat over the south central U.S., but it does look like maybe we'll get another shot of some precip coming back up from the monsoon into far eastern Utah, but dry elsewhere across the basin. That concludes today's fire potential briefing. Please check back tomorrow for the latest updates.